morning, everyone. It's Friday, so I'm going to do the question of the week. And I got this question several weeks ago, actually, on Facebook when I was, monitoring and taking care of my Facebook account, which I don't have anymore. But it was a great question. It's kind of an extensive question, so I'm going to do my best to answer it in a concise way, because the topic itself, which is auras, and the person asked me, what do the different colors of the aura mean? And I thought I would just throw in a few comments too about how to actually see the aura, because it's easier than most people think. So I'm going to discuss the human aura with you today. And my very first experience with seeing an aura, I didn't even know what an aura was. I'd never even heard of an aura, but I was working in a nursing unit. This was, way back in the 90s. And I happened to see this one of the nurses who was just incredibly caring. She was one of my favorite people to work with on the floor because she was very calm, very peaceful, very compassionate person. And I happened to be sitting at the desk and I was zoning out a little bit, had just been writing some nursing notes, and I looked up and I was kind of relaxed, and out the side of my eye happened to notice this blue light around her head. It was about this far out, and it was just amazing. I mean, I could see it so clear, and then it went away. So I asked the person sitting next to me if she happened to see that blue light around this person's head, and she shook her head and looked at me like I was crazy. And so I thought maybe I might be at that point, because I had no idea that there were colors or lights or energies around people at that point in my life. Anyways, long story short, as I went into healing school, I started to learn about observing the aura, and that we do have a human energy field around us, and that frequency or energies have frequency, and that frequency can be seen as color. And so if you think about that Roy G. Biv scale you learned about in school, you know how the colors go up the scale, and those colors have different frequencies of light. What we've discovered in the human aura is that colors and frequency also match thought and emotion. So if a person carries a particular attitude, a mental attitude with them consistently, you'll see particular colors in their field. If they're aligned with certain emotions a lot of the time, you'll see those colors reflected in their field. So the one thing I want to tell you about seeing the human aura, if you want to learn how to do it, there's a lot of books out there. There's tons of stuff online, different eye exercises. The more you practice, the more sensitive the rods and cones become in your eyes. So you can actually perceive the colors brighter and brighter and more intense. But there's a few things I want you to know that I don't think people realize about the aura that can kind of help you. One is that the colors will be seen through your peripheral vision. You don't typically look straight on at a person and see the aura. You have to like look in particular, like when I do an aura scan on somebody, I might look here or I might look here with my physical eyes, but then in my peripheral vision, I'm looking out here without looking at it. And the colors will show up in my peripheral vision. And that's because this chakra, which is the clairvoyant chakra, it sees in the peripheral vision. And the ego, or the conscious mind, controls our straight-on vision. So if you direct your conscious mind to someone and you look here, and then you allow your peripheral vision to look out here, you'll start to see colors. And when you do that, as you acknowledge them, your eyes will get better and better at detecting those colors, and then you'll be able to look at different areas of the body and see colors closer to the body and further out in the body. So that's how you see the aura. And believe it or not, the dimmer the light, you don't want it dark, but the dimmer the light, the easier it is to see those subtle energies. So colors. I'm going to tell you about a few of the most common colors, but one thing that's important to know is the brighter or the clearer a color is, the healthier a person is, the more clear their thoughts and their feelings are. if somebody's struggling with confusion or depression, or they can't like make a decision, their minds, you know, it really is like a state of confusion. You'll see kind of a grayness around the head area, maybe around the face area, and it just looks like they're a little bit foggy. It's funny that we say things like that. I'm feeling a little foggy. And that's because you actually even will see that in the aura, a little bit of fogginess. So the more muted the colors are, the less healthy a person is, the less vibrant. So I would say the most consistent colors that you'll see around auras, one is yellow. And yellow you'll see a lot. The mental field tends to be very strong yellow. And there are different shades of that yellow, but typically if a person has a lot of yellow, they're very intelligent. They tend to be in the fields of education or training, or like my husband has a lot of yellow. He's a network analyst. So a lot of thinking. They pretty much exist in their mental field most of the time, and that's if you see yellow up here. If you see yellow all the way down the body, that person tends to be emotionally empathic as well. They'll be like tuned into when it's lower in the field. They'll be tuned into other people's feelings and thoughts. So they tend to have very good gut intuition. The other color that's really common, and there's a couple different shades that mean couple different things, but is the color blue. And I see blue a lot around people who love to communicate, who love to talk, who love to share their understanding and knowledge through words, so written language. And so you'll see blue around those people a lot. Now, when it's more communication-based or word-based, you'll see it as like a lighter shade of blue. If it gets darker and darker and darker in the blue, like royal blue, indigo, that is someone who has a tremendous ability to connect with spirit, like mediums, people who are spiritual teachers, ministers. They tend to have this indigo, and that also relates to this chakra, so they're usually very clairvoyant, and their ability to see intuition, intuitive symbolisms and things is very strong. Then the color green. You see green around people. If it's lower in the body, they tend to be people who are really rooted with plants and animals and nature, herbs, naturopaths. If you see it higher in the body, they tend to be in the healing field. So doctors, nurses, massage therapists, healers, you'll see a lot of green around them. I have a lot of green in my field. I also have a lot of that darker blue, that indigo. And then purple you don't see as commonly, but when people have purple in their field, it tends to mean that they are here for a higher purpose of serving others. They have a very service-oriented mindset. They are here to help the world. So that's your philanthropists and such. And then another color that you'll see is red. Now, if red is on a location on the body and it's vibrant, it usually means there's pain. But if you see red around the body or near the legs, sometimes like runners, people who do marathons, triathlons, a lot of times I will see red around their legs, and that's vibrant life force energy, so a lot of red. When my son was 3, he was running out in a field, and I was relaxing in a chair because I don't do running. I relax in the chair. I was watching him run around the field, and when I got really relaxed, I noticed there was this red blob of energy, like just gently behind him, like almost trying to keep up with him. And I was so fascinated by that. I didn't realize our auras, that we could move so quickly that our auras, can just have this little bit of lag. But that's exactly what I saw. And he was just so full of life force energy at 3 years old. So it was a bright, vibrant red color. So you'll see that color around people who are very active. So those are the most common color. There's a lot of books and information about the different colors. The not so nice colors that can happen. If you see muddy, like olive green or mustardy, darker yellow, or some browns sometimes are not, that person's in an emotionally unstable a lot of anger, sometimes with the darker reds too. So my kids, when they were little, they don't anymore so much see the auras, but when they were little, they used to tell me, oh, that person's got dark brown, Mommy. I don't want to go by him. So they knew intuitively what colors were not pleasant colors and what colors were nice colors to be around. So I hope that was interesting to you, and maybe it inspires you to check out learning how to see the human aura. There's a lot of information in our auras that we can ascertain from people without even having conversation. So enjoy your weekend, and I hope you enjoyed the information.